Well, I told you we have a big surprise. Now, this has taken some effort to pull off. We had to make some phone calls today. Police had to be contacted. Permissions had to be secured. Because we have a secret weapon that was used on D-Day, and we were lucky to have come across this weapon. If we would, I'm going to get the clicker back. Well, we lost it. There it is. Let me go through this presentation for you. Over the last 15 weeks, we've been talking about innovation, courage, valor, thinking out of the box. These are all traits of the world's greatest generation. We talk about little people doing heroic things. And we talk about collective efforts being important to that process. And one of the things we were able to come across was unique and forgotten stories of weaponry and tales of valor. One of these tales pivoted around D-Day, June 6, 1944. Now, we talked extensively about D-Day in the course. We talked about the preparations. I think Kurt gave you background, and we heard from some of our speakers how this all came together. The planning, the meticulous thought behind this. Units training for days, weeks, months on end. Everybody knowing their part and place. Units having exhaustive lists, making sure that they took the right equipment, they had the right things at the right time. Sometimes having too much equipment, and other times not having enough equipment because they didn't know what they were going to get into. In the past, this has been a problem because previous invasions, the Dieppe invasion in 1942, was such a fiasco. Canadian troops, along with British commandos, had been sent to France, hoping to have a preemptive raid, and 2/3 were either killed or captured. And that fiasco continued to resonate in minds of that event. Now, we're fortunate tonight to have this secret weapon available. Now, I have one of my colleagues, you have not met him yet. His name is Jeff Johnston. He's from the technical department, CAD department, computer-aided design, who's an engineer. And he's been checking on this secret weapon because, we want to make sure nobody is hurt. We let this thing go. We want to see that, you all survive. So I need your attention, please. Please don't do anything rash. Don't run to windows. Don't look out at the channel. Stay in your seats. Make sure you are in a safe place. Follow all instructions at all times, because once we conduct this test of this weapon, and it hasn't been used in a simulated combat experience since World War II. We are fortunate to have this weapon here tonight. So, the story pivots around Major Simon Fraser. Well, as you can discern, his noble title was the Lord Lovat. He was a 25th generation Scottish clan leader from Scotland. And back from the days of William Wallace, the Scots have always been known as tenacious fighters. Colorful people. People that you could count on in a good fight. Well, the Lord Lovat was the kind of guy who was definitely a good fighter. He used to go into combat with a .30 caliber hunting rifle. He was looking for a fight. He wouldn't back down. He was preparing his British Special Service Brigade, many of them which were veterans of the Dieppe raid. He had been at Dieppe. He understood the fiascos of poor planning, and he wanted to make sure his men were prepared. He had insights that other people, other leaders didn't have, because he was experienced. So when he prepared his troops, they entered the landing craft on that fateful morning of June 6th to land on Sword Beach. He understood what he was facing. He knew that his troops had to do their job. One of their objectives was to hit that beach, secure the beach, and eventually make their way inland to secure a bridge heading over the Cane Channel. It's called the Pegasus Bridge. Now, here's the guys. These are the British commandos. They're in the boat, going towards that particular beachhead. Now, I'm going to ask the museum staff, make sure, Mr. Johnston, is he secured that weapon back there? Is he, I don't want to hear any retort or flash or anything. We don't want anybody getting injured. Everybody's, face me. Don't be looking. Eyes front, folks. Here, go, okay. There's the secret weapon. This is my colleague, Jeff Johnston. Would you want to talk a little bit about the pipes and why they were the secret weapon on D-Day?
You need to go back many, many years, 500 years. What I have on is not a costume. What I have on is not a costume of the Celts. It is their traditional wear. And when you put on a kilt, it represents many things. For the Scots, it represents life, liberty, and if anybody's done any research, freedom. That's what they stood for. I have the rare privilege today to tell you that 71 years ago tomorrow, my father actually signed up, and that's kind of an emotional night. But my father actually signed up and became a gunner, 20 millimeter gunner on a troop carrier in 1943. In 1997, he passed away, and I was able to meet another great war veteran, Venerable Judge Fred Lewis, who actually taught me how to play the pipes. And I know he's local here, and Fred had many, many stories. But to go back to the pipes, it's an instrument of war. It's the only instrument that anyone has died for. 16th century, the magistrate of the English court came up to a piper. They captured him in York. They convicted him. They hung him for playing the pipes. And at that point, declared it an instrument of war. So you don't do that to the Scots. But what happened is from that point on, it became their instrument and their symbol of their freedom. So over 1,000 pipers died in World War I, and all they had was this, jumping on foxholes, going in and fighting. World War II, as you'll see here in a second, was Piper Bill Miller. He was the same way. He actually went out onto the beach in Normandy. His pipes, his kilt, and all he did was he piped up and down the beach just to give encouragement to the people, to his troops going out. And then later on, he actually piped across this bridge. He led, and they couldn't figure out why he was never shot. So they actually captured a couple of German snipers. And what they found out is, why didn't you ever shoot me? And they go, because you're Dummkopf. And that's where he got the name, the Mad Piper.
Well, we're going to share with you a story about the Mad Piper. If you click on the hyperlink on the next, let me get the next slide up there. This is a Dan Rather interview with Bill Millen, Private Bill Millen of the 21st Highlanders.